The moment Anthony Joshua finally spoke about the Jake Paul fight in a calm, unguarded setting, far away from cameras flashing and promoters posturing, the entire story shifted. What had been sold to the public as a daring crossover spectacle suddenly revealed a much darker undercurrent. On the surface, it was just another bizarre chapter in the influencer boxing era, but beneath it sat an offer so staggering, so revealing, that it reframed everything people thought they knew about why this fight happened and why Joshua ultimately drew a hard line that surprised almost everyone. Because according to Joshua, the fight was never just about competition. It was about money, an almost absurd amount of it. When Joshua sat across from Joe Rogan and explained how the matchup came together, his tone wasn't angry or defensive. It was measured, almost disappointed. He described conversations that felt less like fight negotiations and more like business pitches, where the outcome was treated as secondary to the spectacle. At one point, an offer was floated that reportedly reached close to $80 million. Not for a championship run, not for legacy, but for participation, for playing a role in a moment designed to elevate Jake Paul beyond criticism and into boxing mythology overnight. Joshua didn't hesitate when he explained why he walked away from that version of the deal. He didn't want to sell reality. That refusal is what makes everything that followed so explosive. Because once you understand that context, the fight itself stops looking like a circus and starts looking like a collision between two completely different philosophies. On one side stood Jake Paul and the empire built around him, driven by momentum, spectacle, and the belief that attention could bend reality. On the other side stood Anthony Joshua, a product of the old system, forged in gyms where money came after damage, not before it. And that difference became painfully obvious the moment the bell rang. The buildup had been relentless. Logan Paul was everywhere, loudly declaring that Joshua was finished, overrated, and ripe for the taking. The language wasn't playful hype. It was aggressive, dismissive, and absolute. Joshua wasn't being framed as a challenge. He was being framed as a stepping stone. The Paul brothers spoke as if the result was inevitable, as if boxing itself would have to adjust once Jake passed this final test. Legacy ender wasn't just a phrase. It was a brand promise. But hype only works until reality pushes back. From the opening seconds of the fight, the illusion began to unravel. Joshua didn't rush. He didn't chase. He didn't swing wildly to satisfy the crowd. He stood tall, patient, reading distance, letting Jake Paul burn energy, trying to stay safe. Paul moved, clinched, retreated, fell to the canvas to buy time. It wasn't cowardice. It was survival. He felt the difference immediately.